Thank you so very much. Again and again, we want to welcome you to our program, and this is Focus on Liberia. This is our Sunday edition of the show, and we are happy to welcome you at this time. Today, we have with us Senator Conmany Wesseh as our guest, and we are having an exclusive with him. If you are one of those persons who love to hear from one of our best, this is your one-time opportunity to listen to Senator Wesseh, and we will be discussing a lot of national issues. First on our agenda, we will be looking at the county mean fiasco. We will look at Senate hearing. What does the Senate do when it becomes necessary to invite somebody, for instance? We will also be looking at the delay of civil servant salary. We want to hear from the senator. We'll also look at the complaints from the Vice President Joel Howard Taylor and other individuals some time ago during the protest called for the step down of President Weah. And we'll be looking at some impeachment possibility. We'll ask some questions on that. And we will look at the progressive. Many people love them. Many people also hate them. And so if we have time, we will go into that also. Again, my name is Anthony Sia, co-hosting with Dennis Jah, and we want to welcome you to our program. At this time, we will welcome our guest, Senator Conmany Wesseh. Senator, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Senator Wesseh right there, folks. As you can see at this time, we will ask you to hit the share button. So, Senator, we got a lot of things on our plate, and we are so happy to have you. The first thing we want to look at is the whole county mean fiasco. We call it a fiasco because of the way it ended. And you all know, folks listening to us, as well as the senator, that politics got involved so entrenched that people are devalued in the country. Recently, the national sport being entered in chaos with Nima County walking off the field. The Ministry of Youth and Sport, through Minister Zoga Wesseh, made an announcement, and many people are not happy with the announcement. And so we want to hear from you, what prompted Nima County to move out of the field? What happened?
Well, sorry if you see, if the background is dark, it's because our electricity just went off. The LEC just went off, but we're trying to put a generator on, so you'll bear with us. You will see a dark spot for a few minutes.
Okay.
Until we get the electricity back on. I'm sure you okay. So what can I say about the yes?
The county meet, the politics.
And Senator,
the county meet.
The Senate called for a hearing, so we know you got involved. So we want to hear all about that.
Yeah, I was on the field. I was on the field for almost all the games that were played in Monrovia. I was at the opening of the county meet in Bassa. So I have because I'm chair of the Committee on Youth and Sports. So that's the reason I was involved at the level that I was involved. And so some of what I would say would have to do with my own eyewitness. But however, the group responsible to report to the Senate was called, and what happened was that the Nimba County team walked off the field. That's a fact. Should the team have walked off the field under the rules? No. You should stay on the field. You can make your protest, and your protest should be heard. You know, so that's the first thing that one needs to say in the rule, the rule of the game. What else needs to be stated as a matter of fact is the reason given from the report of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, in the conversation that we have had with the Ministry of Youth and Sport and talking with some of the county officials, leaders of the county, we found that they felt cheated. They felt the penalties that were given, especially the last penalty, should not have been given to the opposing side, and speculations took hold of the rest of the decisions that went on. So we called, as is due, the Senate Committee on Youth and Sports called the ministry for a hearing, and there are two, the two ministries that come together to host the county meet: the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So unfortunately, the Minister of Youth and of Internal Affairs was engaged at another meeting, so he was excused not to come. And we had the Minister of Youth and Sports and the Deputy Minister. So that's what can be said at the moment as to why they left the field. Maybe as we go on to the questioning on this, I will be able to say a little bit more.
Yeah, Senator, you called, your committee called the sport minister and the internal affairs minister. What prompted that call, and what is the criteria for the Senate to call anybody for a hearing? That is there any red line that needs to be crossed to be called?
Well, we know that the meeting, the meeting ended, as you call it, a fiasco. It ended with one of the teams walking off the field, and we were very aware of that. We play a role calling for calm while the game was when we saw the beginning of the confusion. We called for calm, and that even started before the game started. As the Grand Crew team was coming on the field, there was first the Nimba team, and there was some little bit of booing and some throwing of water bags. So by the time the Grand Crew team came on the field, there was a huge throw of water bags. So I went on to make an appeal, and the appeal was on the big microphone on the field, calling on calm. The Minister of Youth and Sports joined me, calling for calm. The president himself made in fact, called us back and asked me in particular to make the appeal, for reasons that, there was a likelihood that the crowd, the participants, the spectators would listen to me. So we did that, and there was some calm at the beginning. So the beginning started, and then there was a penalty, and somebody was, one of the players who played the foul that led to the penalty was giving a second yellow amounted to a red card. And then there was the other one, which had to do with the other penalty, after which the Nimba team walked off the field.
All right, Senator, let me ask you that. Then they walk off the field, and then I think a day after, there was a press conference by the Ministry of Youth and Sport in collaboration with the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and they came down with a decision as a result of Team Nimba walking off the field. And as we all know, that Grand Crew is the winner. Grand Crew was declared the winner. Nimba County coach was fined.
Sorry, you're hearing the noise in the background because I had to put on the generator. So anyway,
Yes, and so
Yeah.
I was just asking. I said, so after Nimba County walked off the field, I think that was the next day. The Ministry of Youth and Sport, along with Internal Affairs, had a press conference, and they came down with a decision. They came down with a series of decisions. One, Team Nimba coach was suspended for 2 years. Their team manager suspended, $1,500 fine. Grand Crew awarded the trophy. In your judgment, you are a member on the committee on sport. You think, based on the rules, was that decision or those decisions fair enough?
Well, in the hearing and looking at the rules that were before us that were adduced as evidence, let's say number one, the walking off the field was not acceptable. You know, people don't walk off the field. You have a problem. Again, you must make, according to the rule provides for the protest that can be made that will be taken account of by the, if it is against the referee or the refereeing, there are others who are watching the game, those who are set up to watch the game, to do assessment, to do evaluation, to observe the behavior of the managers of the team, the referee, and the players. Those people are there. So you report, you complain to them. That wasn't done. So that was a violation. The other thing is the team leaders, the people on the team that are very important are the coaches. If the coach and the coach and the team manager do not go and interrupt the game or tell the players to walk off, and they insist on their rule that you stay on the field and the players by themselves walk off, the problem is with the players. The punishment will go to the players, not to the team managers. But in the investigation, it was found that the team manager and the coach play a role in getting the players off the field. So they were fined $200 each, as is required by the rule. And the mistake, what we saw in the rule, is that the ministries went on to say that these two people will be barred from sporting activities throughout the country for 2 years. The rule doesn't say that. The rule says that you will be banned for two county meets, not all sporting activities throughout the country. So that's one observation that was made. The other thing is that in the judgment, you didn't ask that, but I know the question will come. In the judgment, certain words that were used in the press release were not appropriate. They meant one thing that they explained to us in the committee room, but that's not what they meant. That's not what they said. For example, when you refer to Nimba County officials and no other description, Nimba County officials, then you, in another clause, you say Nimba County officials led by the two players, the coach and the team manager, you know, and others to be identified. That was totally unacceptable, because actually what they meant in their explanation, they meant team officials, not Nimba County officials. By saying Nimba County officials, you evoke a certain passion, because Nimba County officials mean the superintendent, the representatives, the senators, the other people who are called officials. When you say Nimba County officials, you're not speaking about sports officials. Sports officials are specific for the game.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. I call it a mistake because in their explanation to us, they said that's not what they meant. They were not speaking about all the officials were political officials.
Right.
You were talking about the team officials, but you didn't say that. They didn't say that. You know, down the road, when they even named it, they say officials led by, and they named these two people.
Yeah.
You know, and others to be identified. Who were the others to be identified? You know, so you left the impression that you were indicting the entire leadership of the, including the political leadership of the county. I think it was a bad error, and that's why.
Sorry, I was about to
them.
say, and has that been corrected, Senator?
No, it hasn't been corrected. They are making the explanations. They met with us. They are meeting with the NIMBA caucus. They are meeting with, at least that's what the minister told me, and that's what the NIMBA, my colleagues in the Senate have told me. Others are saying this is what they are planning, and they're engaging with the ministry. They're going to have a meeting on Tuesday, I think. On Tuesday, there's a meeting with the sports officials.
Right, and Senator, they also use the word hooliganism. I don't know if that was one of the words you turned unacceptable.
That is, but that's what they mean. They say incitement and hooliganism on the part of Nimba County officials. That's the issue. It's not just mentioning Nimba County officials. It said incitement and hooliganism on the part of Nimba County officials.
Senator, you were once a sport minister, so I know you know the game too. The controversial issue, what do you make of them? People saying, oh, those are like the first penalty, the second penalty, and other calls that were made. Did you see bar calls being made that would warrant a protest?
Actually, being a minister of youth and sports does not qualify you to make decisions on technical issues. Okay. So that is why you have the technical officials on the field. After a game, they make a report, and a good minister will rely on the report of those people. As I was on the field, as I watched the game, as I watched the fouls, the referee calling for the fouls, I still allowed the decisions of the referee and the other technical officials who have accreditation from FIFA to stand.
Wow. Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. This is our Sunday program with our guest, Senator Conmany Wesseh, and we are discussing a lot of issues. So stay right there as we bring our other rounds of questioning. Senator, another thing, we follow Facebook too, and the politics got in it, and it almost like went out of control. And something I came across, and myself too, I've been thinking about it. They said it could be that the game was managed in favor of Grand Crew, accusing the government, especially the Ministry of Youth and Sport, the president as well. Other people are accusing the president. And one argument they make is that Grand Crew, as we know it, for the past 15 years, has never even qualified for the semi-final. So how come President Weah is president today, and all of a sudden, he can't make it to the final? What do you think? Do they have an argument?
No, I like for us to insist. I'd like to insist that I want to rely on the report of the professionals. Okay. I would, if I saw a referee carrying on a game just because they want to please a president, that referee must be condemned totally, and it's not worth to be in the game, because the game is governed by rules. The game is governed by rules. But even if a referee was operating in a certain way, there are other people on the field who specifically carry FIFA accreditation that go to watch a game and report on the behavior of the referee and the players and other people around the field and their behavior. So the finding of these people must be taken into serious consideration. You know, it is very easy, and actually being a politician myself, I think that people are likely to want to make a political statement all of the time. I want to look at the game for what it is. And being a former Minister of Youth and Sports, there were times when people thought one way or the other. But you know, there is evidence that other people have won the game. When I was Minister of Youth and Sports, River G didn't win. Didn't go as far as it did because I left the ministry before River G ever went as far as the semifinals. And they haven't gone beyond that ever since that time. Mrs. Sirleaf was president when Bommy went as far as they went. Now, and Bommy won the cup. It is possible. It is actually possible that more people, that's the political side of it. Many people, where the president stands, people tend to give more support. If Grand Crew were raising funds for their players, they are more likely to get support from businesses because the president is from Grand Crew. Most likely, the president will put in more money behind the scene to a Grand Crew team that will make them get better players and stuff. So that there's not much you can do about that, you know. So that is possible. But to say that the president who himself, I'm not making excuses for the president, but I'm making from what I know, you know, because when I worked in Mrs. Sirleaf government, and I know that she didn't even have much interest. I mean, if you like, she wasn't following sports or the county meet as closely as President Weah is. And they, what they call them, they won, and she was president for 12 years. But Bommy won only once. Bommy could have won if it were just that presidents, wherever the president is, they will do. Then Bommy would have won for 12 times, and that would have been an issue. I don't want us to, and this is not the first time that Grand Crew entered the race. Grand Crew did not win last year, you know, they won this year. I think for us to keep the minimum beginning of trying to keep peace is to be fair, you know, I mean, and let's be honest, let's look at the rules, where rules violated. This is my position. What I'm saying to you, the rule, the punishment for the coaches to be banned for 2 years from all sporting activity is not consistent with the rule. And our committee is reporting on Tuesday.
I hope our senator will stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing with Senator Conmany B. Wesseh.
Those are not appropriate. They were wrong. They said to us in their explanation that that is not what they meant. But then say what you mean. Do not say what you do not mean. You know, so the ministries that wrote the press statement were in error. Very serious.
Got difficulties there on the part of the senator. We've been joined by our West African correspondent, Mr. Edward Amara. Amara, just hold on.
All right, Senator, you with us still?
I am.
All right, Senator, we have to close on this segment. Our final thing we want to get from you, nowadays has happened. You know, people are divided politically as a result of this game. I would think that Nimba County or Team Nimba, that having to be the aggrieved party, should be the one for us to talk to more in order to find a peaceful resolution, because they're not happy. So we want to give you the opportunity to speak to the people of Nimba who are not happy because of the way things went down? What will you say to them?
Well, I just want to call everyone, as I have done at the cup presentation ceremony. I said we all need to be reminded that the purpose of the county meet, as the main theme this year, was sustaining the peace for development. And actually, not only sustaining, but we have to consolidate the peace. And the sporting thing is one thing that brings everybody together. You know, even in the counties, in all of the counties, there are political forces, divided forces in each county, in Nimba, in Grand Cru, but on the field, what we saw is everyone who came from Grand Cru were together. And I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. In Maryland, when Maryland was playing, in Lofa, or in Nimba itself, there are major
Junior,
divided political forces.
I talk with Pastor Quick, I call you back.
Hello?
Go ahead, Senator.
Yeah, so we all need to keep in mind that the purpose of the county meet, more than anything else, is to bring our people together, to have one thing on which we are united from each county. The other thing is, it provides us an opportunity to spot talent. We want good players. From what I see of, let's take the 4 last teams, you know, Grand Cru, Maryland, Nimba, and Lofa. If we just look among those teams, we can pick an extraordinary national soccer team. There were also things that amazed me, and I was so happy about, was in the track and field. When I saw those track people, both girls and boys, running on that field, I think the only thing we need to do is to train them, because they were extraordinary. You know, a lot of talents can be spotted through the county meet. And we must encourage actually going in the county and not picking players from Monrovia alone, but actually going into the county and picking up people. So I'd like to appeal to everyone, especially Nimba County, you know, which has the greatest talent. You know, watching the game, I tell you, watching the game, I said, if Nimba hadn't walked off the field, if Nimba County team had not been pulled off the field by the sports officials, they had every potential of making a difference. I mean, they could have changed the picture of the game for the minutes that were left, because they had the pressure. Their pressure was just immense. And they got the players, the stature, the standing, the way they move. I'm telling you, they had a very good team. You know, so let's see this as something that happened and look forward to the future. The fine of $1,500 was not a fine required by the county to pay immediately. They said that it will be deducted in the next county meet, where some amount of money is allotted to every county, that if you don't pay now, it will be. So it's not like it has to happen. I think we must correct the punishment. Already I'm told that the coach, one of the coaches from Nimba, who was involved in this thing, who was fined, has written a letter of apology. I think we can look at this and see how some things can be mitigated. But this is not the end of life. I think Nimba should look at it as a very important county of our country that must look forward to being an important element of our peace process. So let me encourage Nimba leaders to look at this. The consultations that are going ahead must be taken into serious consideration so that we can look forward to the next year. It's not the Nimba team that is suspended or punished to stay out of the game. Let's look at it that they have a chance for next year.
Thank you, Senator. And we want to thank your committee too for intervening. But here the question that came to my mind, and I think that intervention was very prompt. But we have had other issues where we didn't see the Senate or the House intervening. And I give you example. And if you did, please let me know. I don't know everything. The delay of salary of civil servants, or the leaked audio tape where the chairman of the CDC alleged some corruption on the part of the president, the complaint from VP Taylor, who's also the president of the Senate, LBDR has just reached a partnership loan with a Mauritius company. There'll be a lot of chaos surrounding protests, the extradition requests of Henry P. and all these issues. Is there what must happen before the Senate call, or why is it that we don't see the Senate calling for hearings on other issues than this one?
Well, I think you're quite right. You don't know everything, and you were not able to follow many things. So if you ask specifically on each one of the things you talked about, I will tell you what happened. Let's start with number one. Let's start with the issue of the vice president and our complaint and staying away. Okay. The vice president is currently at work. She started to chair the Senate as the Constitution provides. Part of the reason was because of the intervention, and I was part of the committee appointed by the pro tem that went to listen to her concerns. She wrote a letter to the Senate, and we followed through it. And at the end of the conversation with her, we encouraged her to come to work, and that's how she went to the state of the president's State of the Union address, you know, and then came to work. So she started presiding. So it's due to our intervention. So let's keep bringing the issues up one by one. The issue of civil servants' salary, we took a position. We not only did we take a position for which we had called in the finance ministry officials and things, but we did a statement that we call a suggestion on the resuscitation of the economy. And we're not writing as economists. We took account of our hearings with economists, with people in the economic management team, and came up with that position. It is not final. It is part of what we try to do in collaboration, in the coordination of the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. Please keep bringing up the issues one by one. The issue of
the audio tape leaked from Mamba Molo.
Yeah, the issue of audio tape. Now, you know, I mean, we are careful also to take on things that border on some things that border on and you know now what they call the various types of fakes. So we don't take every rumor that is heard and take it as an issue unless somebody reports it. Some colleague has the evidence and writes about it and determine that it's worth the consideration. That's how the Senate get involved in.
But Senator, let me jump in if I may. The Mamba Molo individual did not deny that the voice heard in that tape was his voice. The president too did not deny that that was Mamba Molo speaking. In fact, in my opinion, the president confirmed it by saying,
let me cut you off. I'm saying to you that when these things happen, there is a senator or a public official or a person from the public who will write to the Senate and say that these are concerns that they want us to do something about. Now, we did not get any of such things that happened. You then, in that case, you ask me, you say, did you not see it very important enough by you, Senator Wesseh, to have brought it to the Senate's attention for something to be done. And I would say to you, there were other engagements, there were other issues that took precedence over this one. And so I did not do it. But it doesn't mean that it did not happen.
Well, Senator, I would think that, and I think many Liberians believe that this is too grave for a statement like, oh, the president many times had gone on trip in the name of the nation and acquired some funding, and he would take the funding to his house. And the president, as we speak, is yet to have a press conference to deny that all the things Member Molo said in that tape are all false. The president is yet to do that. So
I agree. I agree. I agree. But I'm also saying that unless a senator or anyone from the public, like yourself or organizations you're associated with, take on this issue, you know, and write to the Senate and say, this is a very serious issue. We want you all to do something about it. The tendency is that people will hear it. And, you know, we just have to encourage that in the governing process, the public has a very important role to play. If anything happens and no one takes it up, and you think the senator by themselves must do it, and if they don't do it, then they are just bad people, I think you're getting a mistake.
But Senator,
the public must continue. The public must continue to keep a pressure on the senators or on every public official to do what they believe they must do.
I agree.
Now, this
Senator,
is, yeah.
Senator,
So, I mean, I'm saying
Senator,
to you that
I agree, but you are the direct representatives of the people. The people elected you to talk on their behalf, to advocate on their behalf. You are their eyes in the government. You heard something, it's now been denied by the individual, and you are waiting for a formal complaint. So my next question is, do you have to always a formal complaint before you act?
But do you, the other things that your senator, this is your representative, your senator, call your senator, write to your senator, where you are in the United States. Don't you see what the people do to public officials? Everything the public official doesn't yet do it by themselves. It's not that they shouldn't do it, but you take a step. The tendency that we have is to believe that unless the official by themselves do something, then it is nothing. You must take some responsibility, take some action, and then you are able to do a proper judgment of your public official. You can refer to many things that these are things that we had raised with you and you did nothing about, so that we will punish you during the next election. But if it is just sitting and you say, well, wait, the man is not working, he's not doing, we elected him to do our bidding. What is the bidding you ask him to do? And
There gotta be a port network connection there in Liberia, as it has always been the case.
Okay, Senator, let's move to the next issue, and that's the chaos surrounding the president, which ended up with the extradition request of COP leader Henry Pedro Costa. Could the Senate have done something?
Well, the Senate can do something about anything, actually. We know that the issue regarding the COP was taken up by the Senate. Was it June 7th?
Yeah.
The June 7th protest. Prior to 1 month before that protest, we had a meeting with the president. We wrote a document that we call an memoir that was dealing with all of the issues, which ultimately became part of the document that the COP presented to the government. So we were preemptive, we were ahead. Then we met with the, we had 4 hours meeting with the president on these issues that had to do with justice system, the judiciary, the economic situation, and all of that. The next call by the COP officials, you know, which was, we went on to the setting of dates and ultimately the January, the January 6th protest, and how you came to the, you know, now, let me just ask, what specifically you think that the Senate could have done?
I don't know. One of the issues that the COP called for the president to step down. Some said that was not their place. If there were issues with the president, they could go through the legislature for impeachment. So from you,
well, we have a divided view.
Okay.
I, for example, say that anybody can say Conmany Wesseh should step down as senator. I mean, and some people have done that. You know, it didn't stop me from being senator. I just didn't mind him. You know, if I thought it was strong enough for me to resign, then I would do it. It is my own cause. If, on the other hand, there is something that people feel, not only people from River G, but other people in society feel that I have done that is not worthy of my position as senator, they can write to the legislature. They can write to the Senate. And we have a process that deal with the code of conduct, and we can be investigated. And at the end, a vote is taken, and we are impeached and voted to be removed from office with a 2/3 of the total membership. That's how a senator leaves office. They resign, they die, they too sick to perform the duty over a period of time, and then, but even when we are too sick, unless there is a clear record for which your colleagues then decide that you should leave office, then they vote on it and remove you from office, or other removal for opinion or behavior that is in contravention of law. So in the case of the president, people have the right to say you should resign. That's how they feel. They have reasons they gave, but it doesn't mean it is because of that statement that the Senate or the House of Representatives will begin any impeachment proceedings. It doesn't work like that, you know. But on the other hand, if the group or any individual or group decide that they have enough reason for the president to be removed from office, so they then send a request, the charges to the House of Representatives. And in the House, they will prepare indictment, which is called impeachment. And from there, it comes to the Senate that acts as the judge and jury. And it is that Senate, as you are seeing going on with President Trump right now, that's what you would do, you know. But it's not just that. If any group of people say the president should resign, then the Senate jump inside and say, yeah, let the president resign, or the president should not resign. That's not unto us to do. Individual senators may decide to do that. They may say they don't have a right to say that. That's an individual opinion. But the Senate does not jump on it and make a Senate statement that the president has no right to say what they are saying.
Senator, in the
Yes,
case,
sir.
I have a question, but I will premise it with another question.
Yes.
In the case of Kabina Janen, did any member of the public send a formal complaint to the House before the impeachment proceeding was initiated? Do you know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. the case of the case of the old lady who had a land issue, what they took to Akaras Gray and other people. Then the issue of the road fund. So it came from various Senate representatives who pick up the issue. Somebody wrote to them. They said they did their own investigation. They brought it and took it to the House of Representatives. So that's what happened. They took it on the floor of the House. Those individual representatives who represented a constituency received this and then took it to the floor.
All right.
And let me quickly lead you to the next question related to this one. We were among the senators that said that something was wrong, that was unconstitutional, and that had to do with the rules governing the process, that this House of Representatives and the Senate had not developed the rules, even though the Constitution provides that the rules should be prescribed. That rule did not exist when they started the process. And so the entire episode of the impeachment was illegal, unconstitutional, and it stands to be unconstitutional today.
So, Senator, in your view, has the president committed any impeachable offense, as other people have been calling for?
Well, I mean, please save me from that at the moment.
Okay.
No, Senator, we're not going to save you for that. That's your job. So
okay,
then let me give you one. Then let me give you one, Senator. In the Code of Ethics, the Code of Ethics said before an elected official can take office, that elected official have to declare their asset. In that same Code of Ethics, it said an elected official should not take a gift value more than $200. You are aware the president told us that he was given a gift by his friend, talking about the airplane to boost the morale. I would think that constitutes a gift. So why would you want to wait for a citizen to complain when you are the gatekeeper when it comes to checks and balances? Don't you think that constitutes an impeachable offense? And another one, let me make it some apple and oranges for you. At some point, the ambassador, current ambassador to the United States, was inducted into office without Senate confirmation, something you are very much aware of. Didn't that constitute an impeachable offense as well?
You know, we can list many things that we can again. I would say that many things certainly that could have been done differently. I would need to look more carefully with some of the issues that you have raised. First, the facts establishing them and consistent with. You know, there are many things I have to say. If you look at the Constitution, there are things that the legislature, our legislature, ought to have developed with respect to the things that we can lay out the rules clearly for impeachment, for the president, for the judges, so the Chief Justice, Associate Justices, and judges, that we have not done. They have been raised, the issue have been raised, and there are at least 11, I think there are 13 areas in the Constitution that we have not completed. We have not fully exhausted. The Law Reform Commission has reminded us, and there are a number of us who have been pushing this issue.
Again, folks, in cyberspace, technical issue there with the internet connectivity there in the homeland Liberia. Let's hope that the senator can get reconnected. Folks, you are watching Focus on Liberia. This is our Sunday edition of our program. My name is Anthony Sia, co-hosting with Danija, and we have with us Senator Conmany Wesseh. The senator is still with us, and he is right here. All right, guys, we got the senator by, but we're trying to get him unmuted, and it's not working. We don't know why. Senator, if you can hear us, unmute yourself. Tap on the screen.
Okay.
All
Is
right.
it okay?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Because I didn't mute myself. I hear the technology is giving us a test.
Yeah, you're learning so far. Go ahead, Senator.
Oh, well, you know. So I'm basically saying that they will have all these things, but there are many things that we ought to have done with respect to the Constitution that would make some of these things easy to reference. Yes, there is a requirement by law that have been stated, but sorry, are you hearing me? Okay.
Yeah, Senator, you go ahead.
Okay, good. Because it gets, I think, too many interferences from incoming calls. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I know that there are many things that we can do that will be sufficient. So if we said, for example, that what you're saying, we took them into consideration and say, yes, these are purposes for which the president can be impeached. I'm saying to you that up to this day, the Constitution, our Constitution, provides that the legislature must prescribe the rules for impeachment. We have not done that. That was a bigger issue between ourselves, the 9 senators who signed on to be senators for constitutional democracy, to say that we have not done it, whether it was in the case of Kabina Jane or in the case of any other judge, so it shall apply in the case of the president, that we must have the rules. And unfortunately, our colleagues, and they are finding out now that they were dead wrong. They then said, no, the rules in the Senate that the Senate alone created was sufficient to determine what we should do in the impeachment of the president or any other official. And it's wrong. They realize it's wrong now. The Chief Justice who presided over the impeachment of Kabina Jane, I think, is aware that he is dead wrong.
All right, folks, in cyberspace again.
From this impeachment process, because our friends are realizing how wrong we were, you know. So I agree with you. Some things we hear, in societies are probably better organized, that they will be impeachable, and they were. And I would say, yes, when you take gifts and stuff like that, they are inconsistent with the code of conduct. But to do an impeachment, there's a process. We have not developed the rules to ensure that.
All right.
I hope you understand the point I'm making.
Yeah, Senator, I understand you. And so one key thing you make clear here, which is like a cup of tea for all of us listening to you, is that we, the citizens, have a responsibility here. And if we know that there are wrongs that warrant impeachment, we should write to you, the Honorable Senate or the House of Representatives, asking you to initiate an impeachment proceeding. So in their case, if
no, let's go back. No, let's start with one thing at the other. I'm saying when we spoke about that, we're talking about other things. I am saying in the process You have to read Article 43 of the Constitution. The Constitution is very clear as to what must happen between the two houses to develop the rules governing impeachment, the thing that you need to do to ensure that impeachment takes place. That is not something that requires somebody coming to write to us. It is something that we must do, but we have a difference because people did wrongly by the way they did the impeachment of Kabina Jane. There is an unwillingness, and those who are on that are in the majority, but they are getting to understand, many of them in the conversations that we are having, that we were wrong in the way we handled it, and we have to go back to the Constitution and do what needs to be done for us to be able to prepare any impeachment suggestion that may have come from anybody. You know, truly, it will come whether from the individual again, by the senator or the representative, but it has to start with the House of Representatives. So there's a process, but that process must be by a law created by the two houses, by the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Thank you, Senator. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. My name is Anthony C. hosting with Dennis Jar. This is our Sunday program. Senator, back to you. I have a question for you. Your colleague, Peter Koma of Grand Crew County, on the 9th of July 2019, during Blamo Nelson's confirmation, said something that struck me. He said, many a times you guys are more than coerced to confirm individuals nominated by the president. He says some of these people are either average or not average at all. And he sounded so guilty. Is Senator Conmany Wesseh as guilty as Peter Koma on the confirmation of individuals who are not qualified?
You know, if he is making the confession, that's an interesting confession. But there are many who do not accept, but they are in the minority. So those who accept that they've been coerced, I mean, unfortunately, and we know some of them, yes. We know them because they gave us a lot of headache because we don't go through the process well. And many groups, many individuals now are pointing out the failing of the legislature, that we do things that we haven't thought of in a more serious way, consistent with what is expected of us. So if he says so, it is a confession.
Thank you. Let us move on to something that we too are also divided as a country, and that is the progressive. You guys gave us why today is known in Liberia multi-party democracy. But at the same time, most of us and young people blame you for the country not being developed. Some people believe that Toba was doing well. Now, until you came to the scene and say, hey, Toba, you're not doing well enough, and everything fell apart. And so things are falling apart to this day, and we are now moving forward. Do you share that?
Well, it depends what you call progressive and your definition now. Listen, progressive movement from history starts from one issue at a given time that arises that people deal with. And those who hold a certain position on that particular thing that is ahead, that is thinking ahead, that is thinking into the future are called progressives. Then there are others who are conservative, who say, this thing is good, we keep it as is. Nothing is wrong with it. These are conservatives. Okay, so that's how progressive is defined. It is not about individuals. At a given time, a progressive, yes, they are identified with progressive is identified with individual at a given historical stage. That means the ideas they represent. So in the 1970s,
Again, okay.
An alternative view. There is an alternative view about the way to run our country. So that view is that, for example, we need to have that alternative view that you may call opposition. Let's call it, are you hearing me?
We are hearing you.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut an intervention, yeah. So that's the alternative view that was being called. That let's encourage people to have this alternative view.
Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia.
For example, having a one-party rule was a good idea. You know, even though the Constitution didn't say so, but we say, let's ensure that that is practiced. Let the alternative view organize itself and be given opportunity to participate in the electoral process. The progressives said that the liberation movement in our country, in Africa, it was important that Liberia be on the side of those who wanted change in the countries under colonial domination, under racist rule, that was a progressive view. Others say it's not our business. Let the people do it by themselves. Let's stay away from this issue. Then we'll get support from South Africa. They can give us the white rule, will give us whatever we want because we have a relationship with them, you know, or those were the issues that were called progressive view, different from the conservatives. So there was nothing wrong at that time and nothing wrong today. Then to hold the view about change, the progressive today, as in the past, said something was wrong that something was wrong with corruption. And that position of fighting against corruption was right then and is right today. The fact that somebody who stood with that position in the past, today find nothing wrong with being corrupt, that's a different issue. That means the person is not progressive. He was supporting progressive ideas in the past, but today he is a reactionary. Do you understand? So yes. It's not progressive does not mean that it is relevant at a given stage in our history, and then at a new stage, it is not relevant. Progressive is always relevant. That there is a thinking about the future, about change. Am I understood?
Yes. We got you, Senator, and thank you. Yeah, Senator, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, Senator, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm not hearing you if you can hear me.
Senator, we can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Yes, Senator, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes. Senator, we are here. We can hear you.
We're hearing you, Senator. Go ahead.
Hello. If you can hear me, I do not hear.
We can hear you. Go right ahead.
Again, folks, in cyberspace, we are having technical difficulty. The network there in Liberia is already full, and the Senator is receiving a lot of calls.
I got you now. I can hear you now.
Yeah, Senator, thank you for that answer. And again, I understood what you just said. You know, people like you who were politically active against the top board and the top man. When we say progressive, now that other people who are, standing up for progressive ideas are not progressive, but in Liberian politics, you, Baka Matthew, and Tipote, in Liberia politics, when we say progressive, we are talking about you, our fathers and our big brothers, who held previous government, talking about the third man and the top government accountable. So that's why I want to. So now my next question is that this is why we have observed, or I have observed personally, that many of you progressive are like in a shock. Many of you are quiet, and the same things that you opposed yesterday are more than even visible today, but you are not speaking, you're not beating that drum as you did yesterday. What happened? Is it because you're not in charge or your friends are not in charge? What's happening to you guys? We are concerned.
Can you see me?
Yeah, it's okay, Senator, we can hear you, just speak.
Okay, something is going wrong, but anyway.
Yeah, we can hear you, so just speak.
Okay, I'm just saying that I would have asked you, when you say progressive, and the people are not talking before, you must have individuals in mind. By your definition, are you saying that, who do you want to hear before you can say the progressive who said they didn't have that things that were going on the surface and things?
Senator, these are the people, if I can answer that, these are the people I want to hear. I want to hear you talking more, because the same thing you opposed or you spoke against yesterday, they are happening. I want to hear Blamo Nelson. I want to hear Tipote. I want to hear Sawyer. I want to hear Formula. I want to hear Emmanuel. I want to hear all of you. This is your country.
No, wait a minute now. Yes. You. That's the thing I'm compelled to further ask you, because by asking you, some of them will be rhetorical.
Technical difficulty there. Internet is poor in Liberia.
Live with individuals, then you have a problem. The ideas. What was said in the past about corruption? I just want to give you an example. Make one particular case and you say you haven't heard. I am now a senator. As a senator, I have a platform. That platform is different from the platform I had when I was a student leader. When I was a student leader, I could always rally thousands of students to express my view, or I would go under the palaver hut and say what I wanted to say. As a senator, I am in the Senate where I make a case, where I sit with others for us to write laws to make a change, So the way I talked before as a student, I can't talk like that as a senator. Because I have a platform. I wake up in the morning every day to go to a place solely with the purpose of getting views from you and others and say, this is what we want. Then I look for colleagues within the legislature and say, join me so that this idea can pass. That is what we're praying for as progressives, that our legislature will work effectively. When it doesn't work, we condemn it. And we have to look for ways to get more people to support it. And it means the public must elect credible people. So I ask you to be part of that election of credible people. That is a progressive work, part of the progressive work that I'm doing. All right? So you want to say, now Bacchus Matthew is dead. You want to say Blamo Nelson, as ambassador, sitting in Japan, must issue statements against the government that he is serving and say, you guy, you are heard so and so, you are corrupt. And you are saying for that, if he's not able to do that, to demonstrate that he's progressive, he must not take an ambassadorial job. When I say to you that in order to improve our foreign service, one of the things we wanted credible people in the foreign service. So you are giving an opportunity, Mr. Nelson, to go and make a difference in the relationship we have with Japan. Then you say, no, I don't want to go. Or when you get there, instead of doing the work that will improve that relationship, that will bring benefits of Japan to Liberia, you will not do it. You will spend the time on, I don't understand that. I don't think that's what we're begging for. Tipote now is almost 80 years old. He is now 80 years old. He's 78. He will become 80. And you still say that instead of you young people taking on the teaching that you receive from Tipote and act on the basis of that the only time you know that progressive are talking is when you hear him get up and call Moja meeting at CWA or take the people to Sports Commission and say, Bati or Bati, that's what you want before you know that Tipote is still progressive. I say you got it all wrong. In the first place, you probably haven't read that on the economic situation, as old as Tipote is, he's been working with others and they have something they call the Liberian Economic Group, which issue a statement on the economy when it was in the statement exists. I don't know whether you got a copy.
It's a huge recommendation, and I agree with almost all the things you said in it. I have a copy, I read it.
So this is what Tipote is doing as old as he is. Dr. Sawyer, he ran the Governors Commission, trying to reform the governance system, the public services, organize them, reorganize the structures of the ministries and avoid duplication. He spent all of the time. Did he get all the support from the government, all the things he wanted? Not totally, but Sawyer is also 75, going to, I think, 76 now. So you want him to do the same thing that he did when he was teacher, when he was a professor at the university? I don't get it. Senator, that is why, Senator, for me, let me finish this point.
Senator, you answered the question sufficiently.
No, but just let me make this last point regarding this progressive. Okay, when Senator, I see young people, let's say of soup, when we see young people who call them in the different political parties that are agitating for change, I said they are carrying on the legacy that these people left. The fact that you hear them, and I feel a sense of achievement. Today, 40 years after I left the student movement as president of LENSU and things, there is hardly anything that the student movement does that they do not reference me, they don't come to me. That means there is something they learned that we were doing, that they cannot depart from. No matter how reactionaries want to take over the student movement, they are reminded all the time that the purpose of the student movement is to remain the revolutionary forces, to be the vanguard of the intellectual, to be the shock force of the intelligentsia of our society. When you lose that, you cease to be a good student leader. So this is progressive. And it doesn't have to be me.
Senator.
That is the achievement. Thank you.
Senator, your colleague Samuel Jackson was on live video apologizing to the Tubber government. I'm not saying he was doing it on behalf of the progressive, but that has been the general sentiment. I know Mr. C asked the question earlier. People keep blaming the progressive for. But
does it make it right? The fact that Samuel Jackson will go on it means that there was something that got him to be speaking and associating with the progressive movement, and which he did not get. So he has no qualification to apologize on behalf. Why was it that he doesn't support that people were talking about multi-party democracy? He doesn't support that people were saying that we must have structures in government that will minimize corruption. He doesn't support that we must make sure that we pay taxes that will serve hospitals and schools and make sure we extend government in the.
What some people want you to apologize for, they say you have replaced what we had, that is the Tubber government, or with something that is worse than the Tubber government, talking about the Taylor government, the Doe government, and so forth.
How did we replace that?
Tubber is no more based on the agitation of the progressive.
No. Because we say people should go and elect their leaders, and you go elect somebody who is below standards or is not delivering. You made a decision, but the fact that you must choose your own leaders continues to be right, as it was in 1970.
So, Senator,
we must choose. It's just that you must be able now, as part of the development. Listen, look, the progressive movement in the United States chose.
Oh my God. The senator is a busy man getting a lot of calls there.
A black man, something that we didn't think would happen in our lifetime, to elect a black man as president of the United States. It is the same progressive movement agitation for election that made black, white, yellow, green all to have a right to vote. Then they went and elected Donald Trump. So should we apologize that we agitated?
Senator, do you stand by the rice riot of 1979? It continued to be a reference point anytime we have a protest.
We always said that. They got a history wrong. The demonstration in 1979 was a demonstration for rights, the political rights of people and economic rights. So it was rights and rights. Rights and rights. The rights met the economic rights of the people, and the rights, the social rights, the right to stand up and vote. But listen to this. I've made it clear over and over. 1979, the violence of 1979 was not a result of the demonstrators. Maybe you were too young to know that the people who shot were the police. The demonstrators never killed a soul. There is no evidence at all. All those who died were killed by the people who had arms, and that was the government. People who were running or people who joined into the thing and went to loot and maybe got themselves wounded in the process, and no hospital to treat them, and they died. So those were the things that happened. The 140 people at least that we estimated were killed were not killed by the demonstrators, by the protesters. So that does not make protest a bad thing. Do you understand?
Yes, people understand. I have a question for you, Senator.
Reactionary, they look at protests, they see protests to mean violence. And we in the media must assist people not to start using that and don't do the equivocation to see protests to mean violence. It is wrong. It was the government that was controlling the media that keep announcing that there will be demonstration and that they will quash the demonstration. It was not that time. There were only 2 radio stations in the country, ERBC and ERWA. The people who were on the radio were the government people, the police, the Minister of Justice, and public officials. It was not the demonstrators.
Senator, what did you guys do wrong that one of you could not get elected at a time when you wanted that opportunity? And I will argue that you worked hard for it. What did you do wrong for which your people could not elect you?
Unfortunately, you know, to fight for truth, to fight for justice, even the people for whom you fight can take you as the enemy, because the poverty of the intellect goes with genuine poverty. It's part of poverty generally. If you are poor, if you have nothing, the tendency for your oppressor to make you believe that you are poor because you are lazy, that because you don't have sense, that because of this and that, all the charges are against you and make you believe it, you yourself. So you will fight against those who are saying to you that you have a better way to earn a living. You know, do you really believe that Jesus Christ could have won election in Judea? Hello?
Yeah, I say yes. I believe he could have
Hello?
won. Yes, I said yes, he could have won, and I can argue that, but that
Hello?
will be for another day.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you, Senator.
We are hearing
Something
you.
is going wrong.
Yeah, they keep calling you. But yes,
Hello?
especially during the triumphal entry into Jerusalem, Jesus will have won on that day.
Hello?
Hello, Senator, we're hearing you. Well, Mr. Sia, if we can.
Hello?
Yeah, Senator, can you hear us now?
Hello?
Senator, you say, okay, now can you hear us? Senator, hello. The senator can't hear us. Again, folks, in cyberspace, the senator asked a question, whether Jesus Christ could have won the election in Jerusalem. I'll say yes.
Hello?
Jesus Christ could have won that election.
I can hear you.
And we
I do not hear you.
Yeah, but we can hear you. I don't know why you're not hearing us anymore.
I do not hear you. If you can see me, I do not hear you.
Man, this is so hard to do.
Yes, anytime people.
I do not hear you.
Yeah, anytime someone calls in, may shut the volume down. Senator, increase the volume of your phone. Let's try that.
I don't know what's going on, but I do not hear you.
Keep talking, we are hearing you.
And he doesn't know what we're asking him, so that will make it so awkward.
Hello?
I'm sending him messages, but he's not checking his messages.
I don't know what's going on. I cannot hear you.
But Senator, can you see us? Yeah, we know.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
You're
we
good.
can hear you.
I do not hear nothing. Nothing. I can't hear anything.
Speaking, we hear you.
Just speak.
So
we can
keep
hear
trying.
you.
Keep trying. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, but go ahead and speak. We can hear you.
But do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, but I cannot hear you. So I don't understand if you're asking a question or not.
I know that's
the last thing that I was saying, the last thing I was saying was that when you said why people do not get elected, I said, you know, Jesus Christ would not have gotten election if you believe for a moment that Jesus Christ would have gotten elected in Judea. You got it all wrong, you know. So this is to say that those who stand for the truth, I mean, with all that Kwame Nkrumah was doing in Ghana, they got him killed. I mean, got him overthrown, and they got him. So, hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Senator.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead, Senator. We can hear you.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not quite sure
Okay.
This is that.
Mr. C, I think we can end the show.
Yeah, we can. And again, folks,
Yeah.
in cyberspace, we apologize for the technical difficulty there. The video is working well. We can hear the senator,
Really,
but for
bad.
some reason, he's not hearing us.
Unfortunately.
We apologize for the technical difficulty. That is why we need to do a whole lot to get Liberia better. If that was somewhere else,
Hello.
we would not be having the technical difficulty. Again,
Hello,
folks, in cyberspace,
hello.
we want to say thank you that you spent some time with us. We will come to the end of our program at this time. Mr. Jia.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for this exclusive interview. We apologize that we are having technical difficulty, but join us at 5 o'clock. We're coming back with our show on mental health, and that will be at 5 o'clock. We have the Super Bowl coming at 6:30, so right before that, we'll have the show on mental health. We want to say thanks for joining us, and sorry we couldn't go through the comments. We have this interview and we have a lot of things to cover, but we couldn't. So we want to say thanks so much for joining us. This video will be posted on YouTube. Continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel and keep your questions coming. Until then, this is Dennis Jia wishing you a happy Sunday. Mr. C, conclude.
And so, folks, I am Anthony Cie, also wishing you a happy Sunday and bye-bye with our son.
I'm just hearing you. Oh. I'm just not hearing you.
Okay, so please go ahead and make your concluding statement so that we can end the broadcast.
Well, maybe I should hear what was the last thing you were saying in the last 5 minutes, then I will conclude.
Yeah, so yes, Senator, you asked a question whether Jesus Christ could have won the election in Judea, and we both said yes, Jesus Christ would have won, but that will be a debate for another time. And then you can speak to that, and then you can give your conclusion statement.
But your judgment would have been why went on the cross with all those with two others. Mm-hmm. When a simple question was posed to the people, what was the response? They say they would prefer Barabbas to Jesus.
That would have been after his election. Just like in the case of Kwame Nkrumah.
Well, I mean, I think we should. The fact that somebody good doesn't get elected doesn't mean that they don't believe, they do not have a standing, or whatever they were saying was not good. Tipote did not win election in Liberia, not because he was corrupt. He stole anybody's money, killed anybody, not at all. So, I know that because I tried election twice. And look at the people who got elected over me at that time. I'm not, praising myself, but everyone knows the difference. And look at some of the people who get elected in other counties, compare the two people, if you know them, and see who gets elected. So let's don't use that as a basis to determine whether the election is the way to determine the best people in our society. There are great people who don't get elected. However, those who get elected are elected because the vast majority at that time, at that historic juncture, think that this is their fool, this is the person who can do their bidding. So at a given time, you try, when you don't get it, then sometimes later on you can get elected, or you don't ever get elected the rest of your life. But it doesn't make you a bad person. I just want us to know that, And in my closing remarks, I first want to say to encourage you for asking the pointed questions, for becoming a very educative program on social media, that we will do our best to continue, and you keep our feet to the fire, knowing very well that we need to answer questions from people like you. I just want to thank you and congratulate you. All the best. Happy New Year. And we look forward to a wonderful, blessed year.
Thank you, Senator. We are happy to have had you for some time. Maybe one day we will come to Liberia and we'll enter your office to conduct a face-to-face interview. Thank you.
You are open all the time, anytime. And if there are some issues that even if they are not necessary for radio, for your program on air, please feel free. I'll be prepared to give you information that can help, you know, in your public education and public information. Thank you.
Okay. Happy Tato.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we want to end it right here on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, along with my co-host, Mr. Asuni Sia, bidding you a pleasant farewell. Thank you. Bye-bye, and God bless.